Okay. Well, to be honest, me and Malco, we're kind of hoping that that the end of this meal is going to go better than it started, because I managed to sit in the pit of my buttonhole, so I'm losing blood as we speak. And Malco's being verbally and physically abused by a 9-year-old girl tonight as well. So, yeah, round of applause for that, actually. That's a win. Well done. So, in case you didn't realise, I'm Phil, and this is Malcolm. We're kind of your best man double act for this evening, I guess. All the way for the last few weeks when we've been doing a lot of this with James, we kind of like to think of ourselves as a bit of a quality duo, like a Lennon and McCartney, but I think by the end of this you're going to think of us more like the Chocolate Brothers, to be honest. So I think first thing we wanted to do was echo what James said and thank all of you guys for turning up and helping me and Malcolm in particular. He can drink Katie and James into abject poverty for the next few years. But, you know, and also on official duties, we should toast the bridesmaids. So can we have a round of applause for the bridesmaids? And everyone that kind of knows Kate knows that the bridesmaids have done a great job at keeping her in check and calm today and everything else. So that's fantastic, and they look absolutely stunning as well. But do you know what? They have only rightly been outshone by Katie on her big day today, and that dress looks absolutely amazing. When we first met Kate, we knew that she was a really special girl and deserving of a guy that, you know, had strength, passion, charm, wit. And I guess that we're here today to celebrate that James got there before she could find that.
Now, I realise we've already had a number of thanks this evening, but I'd like to start with just one more thank you to Kate's dad, Kate's mom, and of course to James. Thank you. I think you've all been a fantastic warm-up act for us. Now, as the best men today, we've had three main responsibilities. First, we had to make sure James turned up on time this morning, which we managed. Second, we have to give this best man speech, and being that the paparazzi have already turned up, I think we must be doing a reasonable job. And third, our job is to make sure the groom looks smart on his big day. In essence, we have to make sure his hair and face are in order. I think you'll agree we've done a reasonable job we had to work with. You may be wondering why there are two best men up here today. Those of you who have been to other weddings, you'll know it's often common just to have one. James may have told you it's because he's incredibly popular. Not true. We may have told you that it's because we're so incredibly talented that he couldn't do without both of us up here. That's also not true. I think he just couldn't trust us to do the job on our own. Any of you that know me will know that on occasion I have been late. James does like to remind me how easily I'm distracted by guitars, showers and vegetables. But Phil's been keeping me in check. Those of you who know Phil, left to his own devices for more than about 5 minutes. We could have easily ended up with a wedding sponsored by Apple. The Scissor Sisters. Thankfully we averted that disaster for 5 minutes. Now it was a few months ago that James asked us to be his best man. He came to our flat and sat us down, spoke to us seriously in a way that we don't normally see. He told us that he'd met someone that made him very happy over a number of years, someone that he couldn't do without, and someone he wanted to spend the rest of his life with. Admittedly, at this point, I still thought he was talking about his Xbox, but it's good to see that Kate was able to make it today instead.
So I guess at this point we should kind of tell you guys the story, and the one that we always like is how James and Kate first met. Sorry, the table over there, I can't know what's going to come. So it was Christmas in our first year, and we were all going out for my birthday, and it was the first time that we'd really got all of our different friendship groups together. And I remember Kate coming up to me that day, and she just said, "Do you invite any good-looking mates today?" And I was like, "Okay, well, what's your type?" Tall, thin and lanky. I was crushed. Absolutely crushed. After I sobbed for a while and cried a bit, I kind of turned back to her and I was like, "Okay, well, I've got two that fit that description actually. Malcolm and James." I just thought I should pick James Malcolm. But, you know, to be fair, at the start of the evening, James was, you know, he was funny, he was entertaining, he was chatty. Everything he wasn't normally. But unfortunately for him, it started to all go wrong very, very quickly. he managed to forget her name, he told her that he didn't like her hair, and unfortunately he fell ill in front of her. Inverted commas. Take that if you will. And I remember come the end of the night, he thought that he'd blown it. I bumped into him as he came off the dance floor, and you know, and he kind of looked a bit glum and depressed. Now, if I knew what I know now, that I would have 6 years of ridicule at the hands of James, I probably would have just said, yeah, you really screwed up. Go home. Just go home. Cry, drink, do whatever you need to do to get through it. But, like a bit of an idiot, I told him to actually go back out there and go and chat to her again. And to be honest, I guess we're here today to say the rest, as they say, is history.
And since that day, James and Kate have grown into the fantastic couple we see before us today. Now, I'm quite a fan of sports, and I'm often told that the best teams are stronger than their constituent parts. And I think that's very strong with James and Kate, true with James and Kate. The best teams know how to amplify each other's good qualities and cover for each other's poorer qualities. When I mention that, I must say what comes to mind is driving. Now, since James and Kate got together, James does the lion's share of the driving. Those of you who have been in a car with Kate driving will understand when I say it's a truly terrifying experience. Not only as the passenger, but also as the driver of the car in front. When I say the car in front is generally about 2 inches in front, even when Kate's going about 70 miles an hour. And I think there are pedestrians up and down the country that are rejoicing in the fact that it's now tends to be James doing the driving. Now, we've been lucky enough to know James and Kate for almost 7 years now, and in that time they've been fantastic friends, and many of the memories I have of them is sitting around talking, laughing, joking, largely laughing at Phil. But there is one memory I have of a train journey back from London with James. We were sitting around night time, train rumbling along, and we were talking about life and love, and James told me he thought there were only a certain number of people in life that were truly special, and he thought Kate was one of those people. Now, I'm very proud to be standing here today, representing James on his big day, a day when 2 people who clearly think the world of each other are choosing to spend the rest of their lives together. They're very lucky to have each other, and I want to wish them well for the many days, months and years they have ahead of them. May today be the first of very many happy days they spend together. At this point, I think it's customary for me to propose a toast, being that we've already had a few of those. Can you clap very loudly, whoop, and cheer, and maybe wave your arms around like idiots? Yeah, and for the bride and groom.
Yes. Apparently we're about to have team coffee as well. So, in here? Next door. There we go. Next door. Team coffee. You'll love it.